We started East Side High in Paterson, New Jersey back in the 1960s. The place looks normal, integrated, orderly, kids in class, teachers teaching. Joe Clark is a teacher here, running his classroom with energy and control, but he leaves after a dispute with the administration. Look at this man standing on this man's desk. Fast forward 20 years and the school has gone straight to hell. Graffiti, drugs, gangs, fights. It looks more like a prison yard than a high school. The school board is panicking because the state says East Side will be taken over if students don't pass minimum skills tests. So the mayor and the superintendent track down Joe Clark, who's now working at the elementary school. They want him back as principal because he's tough. Clark takes the job but warns them he's not here to play no games. First day on the job, Clark doesn't waste time. He gathers the entire student body in the auditorium, calls out all the dealers and troublemakers, and expels about 300 kids on the spot. Just drags them out and tells them not to come back. He makes it clear Eastside High is under new management. Teachers are shocked, parents are angry, but Clark gives zero fucks. One of the rawest moments comes when a student named Thomas Sams gets caught with drugs. Clark drags him up to the roof and tells him to jump, since he's basically throwing his life away anyway.
Go on, jump.
No, I don't want to jump.
Yes, you do. You smoke crack, don't you? You smoke crack, don't you? Look at me, boy. Don't you smoke crack?
Yes, sir.
You know what that does to you? Huh? It kills your brain cells, son. It kills your brain cells.
The kid breaks down crying, promises to straighten up, and Clark lets him back in. Next thing, he changed the school doors shut to keep drug dealers out. The fire chief and city officials lose their minds over fire codes, but Clark doesn't budge. He's too busy patrolling the halls with his bullhorn, breaking up fights and screaming at lazy teachers. His style is militant, loud, abrasive, but effective. He forces teachers to step up or get out. He makes students learn the school song by heart as a way to build pride. Parents complain about his methods, especially Miss Barrett, who becomes his loudest critic. But he's got support too, mainly from the kids who actually want to learn. The students take a practice exam for the state test, and the results are a disaster. Most of them fail. He tells the teachers and students they've got to work harder or the school will shut down. Morale is low, but Clark keeps pushing. The school board start turning on Clark because of his extreme methods. He fights them constantly, arguing that he's the only thing standing between Eastside and a complete state takeover. Brutal tactic, but it works. Slowly, things start to change. The kids clean up the school, learn the school song, and even start respecting Mr. Clark. Fear mixed with admiration. He's still yelling every 5 minutes, but now it feels like tough love instead of just abuse. The fire chief and Miss Barrett keep coming for Clark, demanding he unlock the chain doors. They threaten him with legal action, and the school board sees it as the perfect chance to get rid of him. Right before the big state test, Clark gets arrested for violating fire codes. The board is ready to suspend him, and Miss Barrett is celebrating. But the students rally together, storm City Hall, and demand his release. The mayor gives in, Clark is freed and brought back just in time. We then find out that the scores came back for the state tests and Eastside ended up passing. They've hit the numbers needed to stay under local control. The kids and teachers celebrate singing the school song together. Joe Clark stands proud, bullhorn in hand, while the students cheer. Eastside High is safe, at least for now, because Clark forced them to rise up. The movie ends on that note. Loud, messy, but victorious. And that's the end of this review, and here are my final thoughts. So today's movie was Lean On Me. I will say when I watched this movie when I was younger, I really enjoyed it. But now watching it as an adult, I can see how dysfunctional Mr. Clark was. I understood his passion for teaching, but the way that he went about it was very disrespectful to the other adults around him. It was like he saw everybody else as children that needed to be controlled. The way that he came about doing things was very tyrannical. I mean, it started at the very beginning of the movie when he hopped onto that guy's desk, and I was just like, was that necessary to get your point across? And I've actually worked with managers or people in charge that like to rule with an iron fist, if you want to say. And when I tell you rebellion comes fast, I understood if he ruled with the iron fist with the children, but a lot of the teachers were not being disrespectful towards him. Like when he fired the music teacher, he came into her room, berating her, screaming at her about everybody learning the school song. She was in the middle of the class where she was practicing with a choir team that was going to go and perform. And he gets mad because she wasn't having the same energy for learning the school song as he was. And he cancels the school trip. And I was like, how cruel. Like, those kids have worked hard. Obviously, they're in this choir and they're looking forward to going to this competition and competing. That's something that helps keep kids motivated to do good in school. And he took it away from them just because he wanted to teach the teacher a lesson. And I just didn't understand that. Like, yeah, okay, you want the kids to learn how to do their ABCs, blah, blah, blah. Make that them participating in the choir contingent on their academic performance. Don't completely take away something they worked really hard for. I think that if that was the only thing they had to work for at that point and it was ripped away from them, their motivation for change would have been lower. Like, I understood the goal and what he was going for, but stripping away the choir performance and then firing her for speaking up to him, and she wasn't even being disrespectful, but then he kept on going because I guess he wanted her to cower under him. And that was a common theme for him in this movie, wanting everybody to cower under him. The white lady gets fired. He suspends/fires the black guy who was the football coach that he demoted to the assistant football coach. And the black dude crashes out and like throws tables and everything, but he ends up getting his job back. And I know they mentioned in the movie that the white lady wouldn't have came back even if they begged her, and which she shouldn't have, because who the hell's working for that? Nobody. And I think that the way that he handled the men was much differently than how he handled the women. And I just didn't appreciate that, because we all know that most teachers are women. So it seemed like the preferential treatment was always given to the men. Now, I think he was what that school needed as far as discipline for the students. I think he just took it a bit too far, because I think a lot of those teachers, although they probably questioned his reign or the way that he was doing things, they were on board with changing and doing what he said to see if it helped. But the way he made it seem was like they were all lazy and not trying to help the kids, and it's their fault that these kids aren't learning. When you got to look at the environment that these kids live in. An environment, people like to say, oh, it's all the parents, oh, it's all the school. No, it's a little bit of both. Like, environmentally, they're living in situations that may not be the best for them. That's going to affect them. And environmentally at the school, you're at a school where you're worried that you're going to get beat up. You might get hurt because of drug deals, gangs, or whatever it might be. That's also going to affect your focus that you have when you're at school and the amount that you're going to retain. Because if you're thinking about survival, then education is kind of a secondary matter. So I think that overall he ended up doing a good job. I like the side quests that they had with the children, kind of showing like the world they were living in, the real life issues they were facing. Yeah, overall it was a good movie, but looking at it as an adult, I just see him as a tyrant. I understood in the form of like having the kids have structure, but I think he could have done better at being more respectful towards the adults, the teachers, the custodians, or whoever that was working under him, instead of acting in that manner that was unnecessary. I mean, overall, it seems like what he did helped, but there was a lot of sacrifice that had to be made by those teachers. But for him to treat them like shit at the same time, acting like they weren't trying to teach the kids or weren't trying to help the children in any manner, while they were volunteering and working straight time or not getting paid at all to help these children, was asinine to me and crazy. So overall, like I said, good movie. Watch it at least one time. I think there are better movies that are more motivational, where the person that was helping make a change didn't do it in such a tyrannical manner. And the movie that I'm thinking about is Coach Carter. That was a good ass movie. Good movie. And I didn't feel any type of way about it at the end. So like I said, there's better ways to do things. I'm glad that they were able to tell the story about how things got turned around. But yeah, definitely this guy had a problem. He had a power and control problem, and he also was very misogynistic and did not like women speaking back to him. And I think the only person that really was able to get their mind across to him that was a woman was the vice principal. And that wasn't without pushback. And it's also, I don't think she would have been able to do that had she not grown up with her father being a similar person and knowing how to handle that situation. But anyways, that's the end of this review. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time for the next movie recap. Bye.